rare and balanced view on politics in today's world. Based on facts, born of rationality, common sense, and logic, providing context on today's events. This is American Perspective with Rick Thomas.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to American Perspective, back from the technological. It's been an interesting road. It's been a long road. Let's just put it that way. So I'm just gonna say this. Seriously. Oh, the sound is bad? Uh-oh. The sound is bad. Well... I'm crackling and there's an echo. Okay, how about there? How's that? Testing 1, 2, 3. You know what? I wonder. Yeah, see, that should be off. Nope, no change. All right. Let's see. Wait a minute. Okay, let's see. How about that? Is that better? Hello? Is that better? That one's good. Okay, so that one's good, but the other one is not. So if I were to switch to one, that goes bad. So that goes bad. That one goes bad. Testing 1, 2, 3. That one's bad. That one's bad. Okay. So that's bad. How about that one? How was that one? Is this one okay? I know it's taking a couple of seconds. So just so everybody understands on the audio portion of the call, I ended up having a bit of a problem with, oh, wait, you know what? I wonder if it might be over here that's the problem. Let's see something here. Oh, you know what? I bet I know what's going on. I bet I know what might be going on here. Yeah. So let's do that for that. And that'll take care of that one. Okay. And, so then I wonder if, well, let me change this over to, no, that's fine. That should work. All right. Now let me switch back to my original. Okay. How is that? Is that better or worse? And actually, I think I know what also may be a bit of a problem. let's go with these back here. Let's see what this does. How about that? Still bad. I'm trying a couple of different things here, so you guys gotta work with me here. Anything? Is that better? Is that better? Testing 1, 2, 3. Is that better? Testing 1, 2, 3. Is that better? Okay, so that one's still bad. All right. Well, we'll just okay. All right. Go like that then. All right. Well. Looks like I'm gonna have to play with a couple of things there in terms of my audio cards, because apparently one of my audio cards is bad, or maybe bad. Well, that's kind of pissy. That stinks. Anyway, I'm staying right here. I'm not going to go any further. This is good enough. This is good enough now. So for the moment, but I do want to make sure that you guys can hear when I play something. So we'll go like this. All right. So that should maybe, I'm hoping, I don't know, maybe that'll do something. I'll just have to, you know what? This is the other thing that might be causing the problem. Let me, yeah, I'll stop that. Okay, if I stop that, then I can go here. I need this guy to do that. Let's see. Do that. Okay. All right. So, Oh, I'm sorry, guys. All right, I'll deal with this later with the audio portion. I'll have to play with that. It's the one thing that unfortunately I can't necessarily test all the time. But anyway, so everybody, just so you understand, basically what happened is I upgraded my operating system. And of course, when I did that, something screwed up as it was upgrading, and it ended up to where I basically had to blow out the computer operating system and rebuild it from scratch, which of course sent me off into basically a day and a half of rebuilding everything. So there we go. All right, let's go ahead and get things kicked off tonight. Oh, you know what? I didn't switch. Hang on. I did not switch the pledge person. So give me just a moment here to swap over, because tonight is Squishy. Squishy is up for the pledge. Yeah, Bonnie, I know, but unfortunately, the problem that I have is that the programs that I was using, well, Bonnie, just so everybody knows, Bonnie threw up in the chat, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Well, unfortunately, you know, obviously with computers, security protocols and things like that cause all kinds of issues. And so, yeah, plus also I was on a version that is being discontinued. There wouldn't be any security updates or anything else, and so I had to change over to the newest and latest long-term solution, and so that's what I did. And so anyway, all right, Squishy is up for the pledge. So if you are of mine, please stand, remove your hat if you're wearing one like me, place your hand over your heart, and follow along with Squishy as she recites the pledge of allegiance. Let's hope this works.
I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, and I thank you, Squishy, for that wonderful rendition of the pledge. If you would like to hear your rendition of the pledge played here on the program, all you need to do is record yourself performing the pledge in your style, and then take that audio file, video file, whatever kind of file, send it off to me via email. Send it to fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online. That's fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online, and I will get you into the rotation. If you do it on your phone, you can send it off by hitting the share option, not the Sunny option, but the share option. That's S-H-A-R-E. Hit share, and you'll be able to do the same thing. You can send it to fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online. All right. And, of course, tonight is Saturday. I'm drinking out of the Buffalo Trace bottle, the brand new one that I just got. So there she is, Buffalo Trace. And that is in the fantastic and wonderful gift from the Whiskey Warriors. It takes stones to drink with whiskey. And there are the requisite stones in the bottom of the glass. And so there we go. Requisite first sip. Whew. Smooth. Anyway. All right, let's talk about tonight's headline sponsor. Here we go. Let's hope this works. The Institute on the Constitution was established in 2004 as a 501c3 nonprofit with one singular mission, and that is to restore the constitutional republic through grassroots education. All courses and materials are developed using primary source documents and taught from the American view of law and government as defined in the Declaration of Independence in the following 3 key points. 1, there is a God. 2, our rights come from him. And 3, the purpose of civil government is to secure and protect our God-given rights. The IOTC offers the opportunity to educate yourself on our most precious founding document, the Constitution of the United States. They also provide tools to educate your community and get involved with local government. Start by taking their free U.S. Constitution course and go from there. Use my affiliate link, iotc.americanperspective.online, to sign up, and while you are there, take a moment to look through their other course material and information. Wait a minute, I lost it. There it is. My affiliate link, once again, is iotc.americanperspective.online to get great content to learn about our historical founding and support the show in the process. That's iotc.americanperspective.online. Or if you just want to purchase this fabulous Saddleback leather-bound U.S. Constitution to support the show, go to constitution.americanperspective.online. Let's remember that each purchase of this aforementioned book will cause a liberal's sound card. Wait a minute. I'm not a liberal, but anyway, it'll cause your sound card to have digestive issues, apparently. All right, let's talk about this wonderful book. Let's take a look at it. It's got 1/8 of an inch of Saddleback leather wrapped around pages that are water and tear resistant. No cheap glue binding here, folks. It is stitched all the way through the leather and the pages contained within. It's got a 100-year warranty against materials and manufacturing defects, such that if you have a problem with this book in that time period, you can send it back to the manufacturer and they will either fix it or replace it for free. It has got sexy rounded corners. And it is buddy tested, buddy approved, Billy tasted, Billy approved. My youngest whiskey warrior has confirmed that the information contained within will help you to achieve your civics badge in Scouts, as well as your civics exam, or even your naturalization test. You can go and do all 3 of them at the same, well, if you need to do all 3 of them. Anyway, go to constitution.americanperspective.online and get yours today. And also check out the rest of the Institute on the Constitution's offerings as I thank them for allowing me to be a brand affiliate. Oh my gosh, that just died. Squishy, you missed your pledge. Anyway. Alrighty. Well, let's, yeah, all right, let's move on. Here's another graphic that we'll hope that works. Here we go for On This Day in American History. And, of course, for On This Day in American History, we read from, I got to get the glasses on, The American Patriots Almanac, written by William J. Bennett and John T.E. Cribb, chock full of all kinds of information and factoids, which, by the way, woohoo, take a look. We're back at the beginning of the book. So here we go. Here we go. All right. Let's see. Tonight's January 3rd. Let's talk about a few state stats. Well, first of all, on this day in 1959, Alaska became the first new state to enter the Union since Arizona did 47 years prior. It's by far the largest state, more than twice as large as Texas, and almost a fifth as large as the rest of the states put together. Nearly a third of Alaska lies north of the Arctic Circle, and its mainland stretches almost to Asia, coming within 51 miles of Russia. One of Alaska's islands, known as Little Diomede Island, lies only 2.5 miles from Russia's Big Diomede Island, with the international dateline running in between them. Here's a few more statistics from our wonderful United States. The largest state, obviously, we just heard, is Alaska. The largest state in the lower 48 is Texas. The largest state that's east of the Mississippi is Michigan. The smallest in the entire country is Rhode Island. The smallest west of the Mississippi is, ironically, Hawaii. The longest coastline is Alaska. The shortest coastline is New Hampshire. Now, the most populated is California, and I don't know if that still holds true, but, yeah, anyway. The least populated is Wyoming. The most densely populated is New Jersey. The least densely populated is, again, the aforementioned Alaska. The first to enter the Union was Delaware, and the last to enter was Hawaii. Now, Hawaii entered in 1959 as well, but Alaska beat Hawaii by about 6 months, because Alaska was today on January 3rd, and Hawaii was on August 21st. So, there you go. And that is today's On This Day in American History. Oh, boy. Well, we can add something to On This Day in American History. And that is the day that Trump took out Maduro. But before, well, didn't take him out, but took him out of power, took him out of being president. We'll get on with that in just a minute. Here we go. But first, I want to talk real quickly about the National Monument, the Washington National Monument. So, running through January 5th, apparently there's a narrative projection that is going to illuminate. Now, I didn't know this. I knew they were going to put the candle up, but apparently they're actually running something in the Washington Monument every hour on the hour from 7 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. And from basically New Year's Eve all the way to January 5th. And just as a little 1-minute video piece. Oh boy, here we go. All right, one minute video piece. Let's see. I lost it. There it is. Why are you not showing this? There we go. Let's go ahead and do this wonderful thing. Now, I'm hoping that the audio will come through. We'll give it a try here. Here we go. That's a short one. That's a short little one. Now, there is a longer version. That one was posted by the White House on X, by the way. But there is a longer version. If you go to the Rapid Response 47 account on X, they have the full 17-minute presentation. Yeah, so you can go and take a look at it. That is some high-quality stuff there, man. That is just fantastic. Obviously, kicking off the wonderful and glorious 250th anniversary of our great nation. Well, one of the great things that occurred just this morning. There is a announcement by President Trump. Fantastic announcement for anybody who honestly remembers. For anyone who honestly remembers that back in 2020, and actually even all through the Biden administration, the Nicolas Maduro regime was considered to be a illegitimate. Real quick, Coco asks if, let's see if this works. Yep, there it works. Coco asks, do you have the longer version in the show notes? It's actually in the exact same, it's the very first, I think it's the very first article that's under the show notes. And so if you click on that, you'll be able to see both versions. Anyway, as I was saying, we have Donald Trump has done a fantastic thing to start off the first year. So for those of you that don't remember, Nicolas Maduro, was considered an illegitimate president of Venezuela. And, so yeah, we essentially captured him and his wife apparently and brought them here to the United States. Well, I'm not going to steal the man's thunder. Let's listen to POTUS himself telling us what happened today.
At my direction, the United States Armed Forces conducted an extraordinary military operation in the capital of Venezuela. Overwhelming American military power, air, land, and sea, was used to launch a spectacular assault. And it was an assault like people have not seen since World War II. It was a force against a heavily fortified military fortress in the heart of Caracas to bring outlaw dictator Nicolas Maduro to justice. This was one of the most stunning, effective, and powerful displays of American military might and competence in American history. And if you think about it, we've done some other good ones like the attack on Soleimani, the attack on al-Baghdadi, and the obliteration and decimation of the Iran nuclear sites just recently in an operation known as Midnight Hammer, all perfectly executed and done. No nation in the world could achieve what America achieved yesterday, or frankly, in just a short period of time. All Venezuelan military capacities were rendered powerless as the men and women of our military, working with U.S. law enforcement, successfully captured Maduro in the dead of night. It was dark. The lights of Caracas were largely turned off due to a certain expertise that we have. It was dark and it was deadly. But captured along with his wife, Celia Flores, both of whom now face American justice. Maduro and Flores have been indicted in the Southern District of New York, it's Jay Clayton, for their campaign of deadly narco-terrorism against the United States and its citizens. I want to thank the men and women of our military who achieved such an extraordinary success overnight with breathtaking speed, power, precision, and competence.
Okay, I'm not going to play the whole thing. That he spoke for roughly about an hour, or at least this particular clip from Breitbart was about an hour. And let me just say that the Venezuelan people, and I mean not just the ones in Venezuela, I'm talking like everybody, Venezuelan people all across the globe, they all were freaking loving it. There were people here, Venezuelan people here in the United States, who were celebrating. People in Venezuela were celebrating. People in Venezuela, or people in other countries that were from Venezuela. Yeah. They, yep. It was just amazing. It was one of the amazing things that occurred. Military operations. Yeah, there are people celebrating in Florida in particular. So basically, here we go. This is kind of a quick timeline of what happened. So late in the evening on January 2nd, President Donald Trump ordered the U.S. Special Operations Forces to launch a helicopter-borne raid on the Venezuelan capital city of Caracas to capture the wanted Venezuelan leader, Nicolas Maduro. The operation that followed was the culmination of months of preparation and weeks of waiting for the perfect window of opportunity. Now, keep in mind, folks, that no matter what happens, whenever you send in troops like this, there is always a possibility of things going wrong. There is always a possibility of things going wrong. And it was a complex mission that could have happened, or could have had a lot of stuff that could have gone wrong. They could have lost people, they could have lost equipment, and they could have lost dignity. But in the early morning hours of January 3rd, dozens of manned and unmanned U.S. military aircraft began targeting Venezuelans' air defense arrays, paving the way for the helicopter-borne assault team to land at the fortified compound where Maduro and his wife were actually staying. Within minutes of landing, Special Operations troops managed to rush through the complex, catch the Venezuelan leader and his wife before they could barricade themselves into a safe room and potentially wait for the Venezuelan military to come to their rescue. Less than 5 hours elapsed from the time that Trump gave the order to launch the mission to when the assault force safely exited Venezuelan airspace with the targets in custody. The mission played out without a single loss to American life. Not a single loss. Now, what a lot of people on the left are going to say is that this was an incursion into a foreign country. But what they need to understand is that Maduro has long been on the U.S. government's wanted list. March 2020, a federal judge in the Southern District of New York unsealed the original indictment against Maduro and other high-ranking Venezuelan officials, alleging that he had been at the head of a narcotics trafficking ring with ties to U.S.-designated terror groups. When the 2020 indictment landed, the U.S. Department of Justice announced a $15 million reward for information leading to Maduro's capture. Now, in August of 2025, the DOJ raised the arrest award to $50 million. Went from 1.5 to 5.0. In the weeks that followed, the U.S. military began amassing an unprecedented number of military resources in the Caribbean, including numerous warships and amphibious raiding groups, with around 2,200 Marines. The force buildup eventually grew to include a carrier strike group led by the USS Gerald Ford. By September, Trump was ordering lethal strikes on targeted drug boats operating in the Caribbean and the Eastern Pacific. Upon announcing the first strike on September 2nd, Trump identified those targeted as members of Tren de Aragua, which is a Venezuelan-based criminal enterprise the U.S. State Department designated as a terrorist group earlier in 2025. So, reacting to the growing pressure, Maduro had ordered Venezuela's military forces and volunteer militias into a heightened state of readiness. When the campaign of the boat strikes played out, Trump repeatedly hinted at possible strikes against land-based targets. He continued to keep Maduro guessing as to when the U.S. forces might actually attack the Venezuelan mainland, if at all. On November 14th, you recall Trump told reporters, "Aboard Air Force One, I sort of made up my mind. We'll see what happens. I mean, I can't tell you what it is, but we made a lot of progress on Venezuela in terms of stopping drugs from pouring in." You'll also recall beginning in December, Trump announced a blockade of sanctioned oil tankers coming in and out of Venezuela. We even captured one of them, or make that two of them, and actually chased a third away from Venezuela. You see, this is all stuff that had been going on. This is all stuff that the administration has been doing in order to up the pressure on Maduro. On December 26th, just a couple weeks ago, Trump referenced the first apparent U.S. strike on a land-based target in the region, later stating on December 29th that the strike targeted a facility used to load the drug boats. Trump said he offered Maduro a chance to step down. Apparently, he told him, "You've got to surrender." And he was like, I actually thought he was pretty close to doing so, but now wish that he did, because he's been captured. Now, while the military assault only lasted a few hours, it followed months of the intelligence community efforts to determine where Maduro would be in hiding and the array of defenses that he would have at his disposal. Joining Trump at his Saturday press conference, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dan Kane, said the intelligence support for the mission included the Central Intelligence Agency, the National Security Agency, space-based capabilities, including assets managed by the U.S. Space Force, and the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency. Well, why do we have so many agencies? Anyway, they all played a role in tracking Maduro's whereabouts. General Kane said that those intelligence capabilities monitoring Maduro studied how he moved, where he lived, where he traveled, what he ate, what he wore, who were his pets. The leader of Maduro's ruling United Socialist Party of Venezuela, Nahum, N-A-H-U-M, Fernandez, told the Associated Press that Maduro and his wife were at their residence in the Fortuna military complex at the time of the raid. Fernandez said that's where they bombed, and there they carried out what could be called a kidnapping of the president and the first lady of the country. We call it the capture of a wanted fugitive. Dumbass. Anyway. While the intelligence component gathered all of the minute details they could about Maduro's whereabouts, the assault force itself trained extensively on a model of the Maduro compound. Trump told Fox News on Saturday they actually built a house which was identical to the one they went into. Yeah, no kidding. They do that all the time. I don't know why Trump thinks that's something like special, but anyway. So apparently, the window of opportunity was nothing but a waiting game. So they state, the Epoch Times, was told by an intelligence community veteran that the plans had been in place as early as December 8th of 2025. General Kane said that Trump was awaiting the perfect moment to minimize the potential for civilian harm and maximize the element of surprise. Well, no kidding. That's what they do. That's what they should do. By January 2nd, those precise conditions had become clear. At 10:46 p.m. Eastern Time, Trump gave the order for the mission to proceed. Kane said, last night the weather broke just enough, clearing a path that only the most skilled aviators in the world could maneuver through. Ocean and mountain, low ceilings. Low cloud ceilings. Kane said that at Trump's order, U.S. forces moved ahead with what the administration has called Operation Absolute Resolve. More than 150 U.S. military aircraft drawn from the U.S. Navy, Marine Corps, Air Force, Air National Guard supported this mission. In addition to the helicopters, General Kane listed off the F-22 Raptor, the F-35 Lightning II, F-18 Super Hornets, and B-1B Lancer bombers that were all a part of this. Part of this. And apparently, somebody grabbed a picture of the assault force. That's kind of weird. Now let's see if this works. Nope. All right, my Zoom isn't working, so we're just going to have to go with this. Let's see if I can open the image and maybe zoom in a little bit. There's the image. Let's see if I can zoom in a little bit for you. This is a screen grab of something. I don't know what, but there it is. That is supposed to be the helicopters going in through Caracas. We'll have to see what the heck happens here, but there it is. Anyway, thought I'd let you guys see that. EA-18G Growler electronic warfare aircraft also assisted in the suppression of Venezuela's air defenses. General Kane said other support aircraft, including numerous remotely piloted drones, also assisted in the mission. Kane said as the force began to approach Caracas, the Joint Air Component began dismantling and disabling the air defense systems in Venezuela, employing weapons to ensure safe passage of the helicopters into the target area. You know what? I just got to point this out. If there is any other government, any other country that sits here and thinks that the United States military is weak or incapable, yeah, no. The United States military is the greatest fighting force that has ever graced this planet. And just the mere fact that they were able to pull this off in the dead of night in such a coordinated effort without a single loss to American life. Without a single loss to American life is just amazing. And if I were a, I don't know, dictator somewhere, yeah, I would be a little worried about what's going on. Now back to the piece here. Amid the chaos that was raining down on Venezuela's air defenses, General Kane said mission planners assessed that the helicopter-borne assault force had managed to remain virtually undetected, and they proceeded to their objective. As the assault forces closed in, General Kane said a ground-based intelligence team continued to provide real-time updates of the situation at Maduro's location. By 1:01 a.m. Eastern Time, the helicopter-borne assault force had reached the fortified compound. General Kane said the helicopters came under fire as they approached the compound, and they did return fire. One of our aircraft was hit, but remained flyable, the general said, adding that all the aircraft involved were able to safely return to their launch points. Once the assault force touched down, operators were able to race through the fortified compound to reach Maduro. Trump said that Maduro had attempted to flee to a steel-clad safe room within the compound, but the assault force caught up to him before he could lock himself away. Even after trading fire with numerous defensive forces along the way. Trump said he wasn't able to make it to the door because our guys were so fast. And even if Maduro had managed to make it to the safe room, Trump said that the team was ready to break through the steel doors to get to him. He said, we would have blown the door up in about 47 seconds. Now, isn't that kind of interesting? He is 47, 45, 47. It was 47 seconds. Coincidence? I don't know. So apparently the fighting continued even after the assault force had caught up to Maduro, and they proceeded to take him and his wife to the waiting helicopters. Speaking of which, here is... Whoa, that's awfully big. Let's back this off a little bit. Here's a picture of Maduro. There he is, folks. There's Maduro. Yeah, he is, there he is. He's on the U.S.-based ships. They put glasses on him, they put earphones on him, and, yeah. There you go. There's Maduro being trapped. He is actually, in this particular picture, I think he's in zip tie handcuffs. For it. Fantastic. Fantastic. So, yeah. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth followed along and said, quote, no other country on planet Earth, it's not even close, could pull this kind of operation off. And by the way, in that last photo that I just showed you, that was a actual DEA administration patch that was seen there. He was blindfolded and handcuffed aboard what was called the USS Iwo Jima amphibious assault ship. Way to go, United States military. Way to go. Well, now he's been indicted. Maduro and his wife are both indicted in U.S. federal court. The indictment came hours after their capture and extraction. And Nicolas Maduro were indicted in the Southern District, and his wife, were indicted in the Southern District of New York. He's been charged with narco-terrorism conspiracy, cocaine importation conspiracy, possession of machine guns and destructive devices, and conspiracy to possess machine guns and destructive devices against the United States. United States Attorney General Pam Bondi wrote on X. She also wrote that they will soon face the full wrath of American justice on American soil in American courts. She issued the statement hours after they were captured and extracted. She also followed it up with, on behalf of the entire United States DOJ, I would like to thank President Trump for having the courage to demand accountability on behalf of the American people, and a huge thank you to our brave military who conducted the incredible and highly successful mission to capture these two alleged international narco traffickers. Now, Bondi's announcement followed statements made by Senator Mike Lee of Utah, who said that he was told by Secretary of State Marco Rubio that the strike on Venezuela's capital was a means to protect law enforcement as they carried out the arrest warrant for Maduro. Lee added that Rubio also told him that Maduro was arrested by U.S. personnel to stand trial on criminal charges in the United States. Now, the Deputy Secretary of State, Christopher Landau, also emphasized that Maduro was expected to face legal action. Landau said on social media, quote, "The tyrant is gone. He will now finally face justice for his crimes." In 2020, Maduro and 14 other Venezuela officials were charged with narco-terrorism, corruption, drug trafficking, and other charges in New York City, Miami, and Washington, D.C. Scope and magnitude, this is U.S. Attorney General Jeffrey Berman said in the 2020 press release, the scope and magnitude of the drug trafficking alleged was made possible only because Maduro and others corrupted the institutions of Venezuela and provided political military protection for rampant narco-terrorism crimes described in our charges. As alleged, Maduro and the other defendants expressly intended to flood the United States with cocaine in order to undermine the health and well-being of our nation. Maduro very deliberately deployed cocaine as a weapon. Well, now, without a president, how are we going to go? What is going to happen to them? Well, what is going to happen to Venezuela? Well, I'll tell you here in just a moment. But first, let's talk about this fantastic thing that I drink every morning. It's an elixir that sits in my 16-ounce cup, the gift from my kids. Fantastic thing. It's known as coffee. And if you still haven't tried 1775 coffee, now is your shot. The 1775 starter kit has just dropped. There's a limited number of units available. In each unit, you're getting the bold dark roast that hits hard, the smooth medium roast, and the Vitality Mushroom Coffee for clean energy and laser focus with no crash. All of them are single origin, small batch, toxin-free, and mold-free. Plus, you're also going to be receiving in your kit a gold spoon clip, because freedom isn't scooped with plastic. You'll be receiving a frother that is strong enough not only to stir up your coffee, mix that creamer and sugar in there really, really well, but also your mother-in-law's opinions. Let's be honest, it doesn't take much to stir up your mother-in-law's opinions. But you'll also be receiving a black 1775 tumbler. It's $170 worth of coffee and gear, yours for just the low, low price of $99. This is for the ones who've been watching 1775 coffee blow up on Rumble and wondering if it's actually worth it. Spoiler alert, it is. Go to 1775coffee.com. That's 1775coffee.com/studio. That / is the question mark key on your keyboard. That's 1775coffee.com /studio, STUDIO, and grab your starter kit before they are gone. Bold beans, clean fuel, and a morning routine that stands for something, just like Rumble does. Go to 1775coffee.com /studio and grab your starter kit today. All right. Well, Trump says, well, guess what? We took away their president. Well, now the U.S. is going to run Venezuela until we have some kind of a transition. The president says we want peace, liberty, and justice for the great people of Venezuela. So he said, Trump called this out in his statement and said that the U.S. is going to run Venezuela until the peaceful transition of power is completed following the capture of Maduro. He said in a press conference, we're going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition. So we don't want to be involved with having somebody else get in. We want peace, liberty, and justice for the great people of Venezuela, and includes many from Venezuela who are now living in the United States and want to go back to their country. It's their homeland. He also said that large U.S. oil companies will go back into Venezuela. You may recall that Chevron, I believe, is one large oil company that spends a lot of time in Venezuela. We'll have to see what happens there. The U.S. president said he will designate a team to lead the country, specifically pointing to Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, who were standing behind him in the press conference. He indicated that this team will be responsible for the country's administration and that they will lead the country until it is back on track. No, I could be wrong. Ms. T is calling me out. It could be ExxonMobil as well. I don't know if it's Chevron or ExxonMobil. I thought it was Chevron, but anyway. Well, there's a possibility, by the way, because nobody really knows right now who's ultimately going to take over the leadership of Venezuela. But there is a person waiting in the wings that very well could be the one that they tap. And who is that? Well, it's none other than Maria Corina Machado. And you may recall she was the opposition leader, as well as Edmundo Gonzalez. Both of them are claimed to have support of 70% of the people of the country. And you'll also remember, too, that when Nicolas Maduro came into power, Maria Machado had to run and hide. She had to run for her life and hide. So, and by the way, Maria Machado was also the 2025 Nobel Peace Prize winner, just to remind you of that. Anyway, Jorge Rosati, Jaissati, who is a Venezuelan and is the president of the Economic Inclusion Group, told Fox News Digital that Machado and Gonzalez would assume a transitional government in Venezuela. And they have 70% support of Venezuelans. They would lead this transition period. He also said, I believe that Machado has the capacity and integrity to lead this very delicate transition. Key will be her ability to surround herself with young and capable Venezuelans instead of career politicians. Yeah, the United States recognized Gonzalez, who was the legitimate leader of Venezuela, and after he soundly defeated Maduro in a more than 2-1 margin in the 2024 election. Gonzalez replaced Machado after she was banned for running by the Maduro-run High Court. And Maduro, of course, ignored the results. So there you go. Now, while Machado has yet to comment on Maduro's fall, just last month she told Fox News Digital that she is extremely grateful, or absolutely grateful, I should say, not extremely. I'm quoting her, so I got to get it right. I am absolutely grateful to President Donald Trump for every gesture, every signal, every moment that he has stood with the Venezuelan people. I have watched it very closely, and I know what it has meant for those who are fighting to reclaim democracy and freedom in our country. Now, as you recall, she was announced as the winner of the Nobel Prize in December. She was in hiding at the time, but because of Maduro's efforts to purge the opposition. Now, she said about the award in the committee that she was very grateful to them, and this is a measure of what this recognition means to the Venezuelan people. Her daughter, Ana Karina Sosa, who accepted her Nobel Prize in Norway, said that her mother wants to live in a free Venezuela. We'll never give up on that purpose. Machado would later appear in Norway following a daring operation to get her out of the country. So, yeah. Now, Diosdado Cabello emerges as the most feared and influential figure in the regime because of a crowded field of dangerous actors who could attempt to seize power now that Maduro is out. Now, La Nacion describes him as a longtime number two of Chavismo, with sweeping control over party machinery and propaganda apparatus. His power stretches from internal political enforcement to the interior and justice portfolios. You also have one of Maduro's closest political operators, Jorge Rodriguez, who is the president of the National Assembly. He's another senior figure positioned for any succession scenario. Delcy Rodriguez, who is Venezuelan's vice president and is described as the central political operator within the regime and part of a powerful governing duo with her brother Jorge. Her influence spans institutional, economic, and diplomatic spheres. The U.S. Treasury sanctioned her as part of Maduro's inner circle for helping dismantle democratic governance, and the European Union lists her under measures for human rights violations and erosion of the rule of law. So in other words, we took out one and we've got like 4 or 5 behind it. So, yeah, we also have Ivan Hernandez Dala, who is Venezuelan's military counterintelligence service. He also commands the Presidential Guard, making him one of the most feared figures in the security apparatus. His control over internal repression gives him significant leverage in any power struggle. He was designated by the State Department in 2019 for his involvement in gross violation of human rights. So there are a ton of people. Here's the last one, Vladimir Padrino Lopez, who is the long-serving defense minister and is portrayed by La Nacion, or the Nation's magazine, as the backbone of the military establishment and guarantor of Maduro's survival. The armed forces remain loyal because of him, forming an axis of power between Padrino and Maduro. All of these people are possibly in the way. So this is going to be a little while before things really and truly calm down and take shape in this place. Let me just say this. It's going to be a little bit, and we need to understand that. That being said, Cutting off the head of the snake is a good start. Cutting off the head of the snake is a good start. Speaking of our snakes, the Democrat Party, of course, is already, many Democrats have already come out publicly and have said that they abhor this idea. Many of the Democrat Party leaders have all done this, and they've all said, by the way, this is illegal. Well, I got a wake-up call for you, Democrats. No, it's not. What Trump did is not illegal. And let me explain to you how this works. And the reason why the Democrats are freaking out about this, just like they did with the drug boats, they keep saying, no, 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 Congress is supposed to be involved in all of this. Congress needs to be the one to declare war. Congress is the one that tells the president what to do. Except there's only one problem. First of all, the president is constitutionally the commander-in-chief of our military services. That gives him the opportunity, him or her, the opportunity to be able to use them in ways that he needs to in order to protect the homeland. But it goes even farther than that. And this is where the Democrats need to wake up and basically smell the quote-unquote coffee, the 1775 coffee. Because there's this little thing called the War Powers Resolution of 1973. The War Powers Resolution of 1973. The law, that law in particularly, allows the president to do quite a bit without Congress's approval. Let me give you some examples of when it was being used. This goes back all the way to the 80s. Ronald Reagan did it in Grenada. He did it in Libya. Bill Clinton used it in Kosovo. Barack Obama himself used it in Libya and Syria. Donald Trump, the first time around, did it in Syria and Iran. Joe Biden himself used it in Syria, Iraq, Somalia, and Yemen. So here's how this works. The War Powers Resolution of 1973 states that as the president, being the commander-in-chief, and under the War Powers Resolution, a president can initiate limited military action to defend U.S. forces, citizens, or national interests. National interests. Oh, this is a national interest to capture Maduro and take him out of power. Now, the president does not need advance congressional approval to do that. Okay? Now, he or she does need to notify Congress within 48 hours of the action, and the operation that goes into play must be ended within 60 days, with an additional 30 days to withdraw them, unless, of course, Congress actually authorizes continuation. So here's the thing, folks. He can do all of this. Now, Congress, of course, does still have a little bit of power. But it's after the president has taken action, because let's face it, there is no way that if we were having to wait until Congress would approve some sort of a bill or funding or give approval, we'd be overrun immediately. We'd be overrun immediately. So that's part of the reason why the president of the United States has the capability to defend this country without Congress's approval, or even to be able to go and do something like this without Congress's approval, because this is part of our national interests. Now, Congress, of course, after the act, can order a withdrawal. They can also cut off funding. They can also pass or deny an authorization for the continued war. But if Congress does nothing, they say nothing, they do nothing, well, the action itself is by default considered to be approved. So there you go. It's not a loophole, by the way. That's the actual way the things are supposed to work. And it's been in place for over 70 years, used by both Democrats and Republicans. I gave you the list. Ronald Reagan, Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, Donald Trump, and Joe Biden all have used the War Powers Resolution of 1973. And you can oppose the specific action like the targeting of the drug boats. You can oppose that. But sitting here and calling it out and saying that it's illegal is actually incorrect and completely wrong. And see, this is part of the problem, is that these leftist lunatics that are out there are sitting here thinking actions like this, oh, that's illegal. Well, it's because they don't understand our actual government system. They don't understand the way that our government is supposed to work. And I come on this program all the time and shoot them down. And even on social media, I do it all the time. I shoot them down. I'm like, hey, you guys name the unconstitutional actions that this president has taken. Donald Trump is one of the most, if not the most constitutional president of modern history, and is also definitely the most constitutional president of the last three that we've had. Between Trump, Obama, and Biden, Trump is the most constitutional. Well, speaking of constitutional and thinking of Maduro and thinking of his socialist regimes, something happened on January 1st. The night of January 1st at midnight exactly, the first socialist, supposedly democratic socialist, although let's face it, he is a complete socialist, communist, whatever other kind of thing you want to say, mayor of New York City. He was inaugurated and sworn in over a Quran, of all things. Seriously? In New York City. Does New York not remember September 11th, 2001? Does New York not remember that? I mean, I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine this. But I got a couple stories on that. But first, I want to play a video from, well, I wish I could call him a buddy. He's a very wise individual. Very wise individual, I got to tell you. This Nick Freitas. I'm going to say it's Freitas. I think it's Freitas or Fritas. Anyway. He posted a video to remind people of what is coming potentially in New York City. Let's take a quick listen.
I just wanted to tell you something. In about a year and a half, 2 years from now, when you discover that...
Sorry, let me back that up and start that over again, because for whatever reason it cut out the first part here. Ready?
All of the New Yorkers that voted for Mamdani, I just wanted to tell you something. In about a year and a half, 2 years from now, when you discover that the warmth of collectivism is not all it's cracked up to be, because after all, where were all the warnings, except for all the warnings? I want you to understand something. It isn't that Mamdani let you down. I have a feeling that Mamdani will try to faithfully execute a socialist utopia as well as anybody has ever tried. And the lesson you need to learn is this crap doesn't work. It hasn't worked before. It's not going to work now. You're not special in New York City, okay? It doesn't work. So when you inevitably pick up whatever is left of your property or your wealth and you leave to go somewhere else, the place you flee to doesn't need your opinion or insights. No, it needs you to sit down, shut up, and actually pay attention to what works so that you don't continue to perpetuate the same mistakes that you made in New York City and places that have successfully avoided those mistakes. Glad I could help. All of the New Yorkers that voted for Mamdani.
Nope, sorry about that. He's right. He is absolutely correct. And that is, that's what is going to happen. Oh, and it's already on its way. I mean, what's the first thing that Mom Donnie, which, by the way, Letitia James apparently mispronounced his last name. Yeah. Anyway, and yeah, she was kind of ripped for it, but it's already started, folks. It's already started. Because Mamdani, what he said in his inauguration speech, he basically said, hey, we're going to give up the coldness of individualism and embrace the warmth of collectivism. Really? You're going to embrace the warmth of collectivism. The warmth of collectivism is the warmth around the fire bin or fire bucket that you're going to end up in because you won't be able to eat your own home or heat your own home. Hell, you won't even be able to own your own home under collectivism. These people don't seem to get it. The people that voted for this moron don't seem to get it. Collectivism doesn't work. In fact, even as far back as the Pilgrims, credited for landing here on Plymouth Rock, they tried communism and collectivism. They tried it, and it didn't work. It did not work. They went away from it quickly when it wasn't working. I told you about that. Rush Limbaugh tells you about that as a part of his Thanksgiving story. That the collectivism doesn't work. The idea that everybody, okay, puts in and everybody shares, that doesn't work because the amount of effort that it takes to put things in, there's no motivation. Why would I, as an individual, throw in and work harder than the person next to me and gain nothing extra for my efforts? And that's what happens with socialism. That's what happens with communism. And the government owning everything, just look at how wonderful they've done with everything that we've had so far in terms of health care. Anybody wants to have nationalized health care, all they have to do is look at the Veterans Administration and how well it's being run. Anybody that wants anything from the government, all you have to do is look at how fantastically run our Department of Motor Vehicles is run in any single state. I know of nobody that has a pleasurable experience. I could be wrong. There's 50 states. Maybe there's one or two that have gotten their act together, but pretty much anybody that has gone to the Department of Motor Vehicles or any other government-run application, anybody under any government-run application is a problem. You know that you walk in, it's going to be long wait times, bunch of red tape, all kinds of paperwork. Yeah, it's just bad. All right. Well, if you think that Mamdani is any kind of a magnanimous person or anything else, well, one of his first moves as mayor was to revoke Mayor Adams' executive orders that dealt with supporting Israel. Wait, what? This guy who says that he is good, and he actually got, I'm sure, he actually got some Jewish folks in New York City. Jewish folks in New York City who voted for him. Yeah, they're in for a rude awakening because he revoked Adams's executive orders supporting Israel. And that's on his first day in office. And if you think he's going to stop at that, man, let me tell you, That's just the tip of the iceberg, folks. Israel, of course, is not happy about that. They tore into Zohran Mamdani after he revoked these pair of executive orders signed by former Mayor Eric Adams that supported the Jewish state. Yeah, Mamdani showed his true face. He scrapped the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism as well. And he lifted the restrictions on boycotting Israel. It's not leadership, according to them, according to the Israeli Foreign Ministry. They say it's anti-Semitic gasoline on an open flame. So, there you go. Yeah. On day one, he revoked all the orders issued by Adams after he was indicted on federal corruption charges, including one that barred city agencies from boycotting or divesting from Israel. So there we go. He's already started. And what's even worse is he actually has appointed a deputy mayor for economic justice. Her name is Julie Sue. Let me recall or reveal to you who Julie Sue actually is. Julie Sue was on the hook for overseeing $32 billion in fraud. Sounds kind of like, I don't know, Tim Walz? So Julie Sue, who was the head of the California Labor and Workforce Development Agency, had an estimated $32.6 billion in unemployment insurance fraud take place. Yeah. And by that, by the way, it's supposedly something that was so easily picked out. Apparently, one of the applicants as a part of this fraud was actually named Poopy Pants. Yeah. So, apparently, Sue has said that no one could have seen the fraud coming. But in reality, according to this writer in the Front Page magazine, for more than a decade, California's independent auditor had issued warnings about the unemployment office's vulnerabilities. No one acted on the intelligence, including this woman, Julie Sue. Yeah, so now she's moving to New York under Mamdani. Yeah, if you don't think that New York is going to fold quickly, yeah, let's just, I'm just watching this train wreck, let me tell you. Speaking of train wrecks, I gotta play this video for you, this video clip. This is, let's see, who is this guy? This is on Joe Concha TV. And apparently, Joe Concha made some remarks on Fox News that talks about Tim Walz. Oh, yes. Let's go ahead and take a listen to this. Hopefully the audio comes through on this one as well.
Likely for fraud of federal programs. Your reaction to the Washington Post editorial board?
Well, you got to wonder, guys, if Governor Tim Walz will blame white supremacy for the Washington Post editorial board. Not exactly a bastion of conservative sentiment. An editorial board has never endorsed a Republican presidential candidate in its history, by the way. They're now even calling out Walz and other Minnesota state leaders, and rightly, because now you got to look at all the pressure from federal government under Donald Trump and what he's doing in putting the pressure on Minnesota. And rightly, given the billions of dollars that were stolen, allegedly, by members of the Somali community for many years. HHS has now cut off all child care funds. The Department of Agriculture now investigating SNAP. The Labor Department is now investigating unemployment insurance fraud. And Homeland Security, Justice Department, they're now executing search warrants in a door-to-door fashion. This is a full court press. And I'll leave it here, by the way. betting markets are now saying that Governor Tim Walz, again, a vice presidential candidate with Kamala Harris in 2024, not too long ago, he now has a 30 times more chance of being indicted than he does of winning the presidency. The way this is going at this point, Nate, I think you might as well put that at 30,000 times at this.
So there you go. Yeah. Tim Walz. Man, I hope that's true. I really hope that's true. That would be fantastic if Tim Walz got indicted at this point. Anyway, speaking of Minnesota, apparently independent journalist Nick Shirley not only has been, told that he's being threatened, or actually he is being threatened, his life is being threatened, but apparently he also said on Thursday that there's a second installment of his investigation into the alleged Minnesota fraud. And he was suggesting that, of course, this is going to make critics in the mainstream media go completely insane. So Shirley wrote on X, quote, "Just wait until I post part 2. They're going to go insane," Shirley wrote. Now, he's already been taking some flack, by the way, because he wore a t-shirt or a hoodie, I guess, or there's some memed up things where he's wearing a hoodie with the logo of the daycare center that apparently said 1-800-FRAUD. That's the phone number. Anyway, yeah. So here we go. I mean, this is an independent reporter. So there you go. Yeah. So apparently, I mean, the mainstream media, yeah, it's Quality Leering Center. The mainstream media, by the way, has been seriously having some problems with this. New York Times downplayed Shirley's reporting as a quote-unquote single viral video. NPR interviewed a University of Minnesota law professor, Jane Kirtley, who focused on her theory that Shirley is simply just trying to advance his preferred narrative. Okay. Newsbusters pointed out that several CNN programs have insisted that Shirley previously shared anti-immigrant and anti-Muslim videos while failing to actually produce them or elaborate on them. Yeah. So, yeah, there you go. Apparently, CNN was also mocked because one of their correspondents, Whitney Wild, interviewed Shirley in a segment featured on Anderson Cooper 360 on Tuesday, which Wild questioned Shirley's methods of investigating. And after peppering Shirley with questions, the CNN reporter said the network is looking into his claims. Wild was then shown calling Minnesota daycare centers via speakerphone, acknowledging that many of the centers that Shirley visited would not pick up her calls. Yeah. And only one, by the way, only one happened to answer, and they basically said that they're a legitimate business. Now, Wild, of course, took that at face value, which is something that you don't do when you're an investigative journalist. Anyway. All right. Let's see. One other thing. Oh, yes. So a couple last things in this final minutes that I don't have in the show notes. First of all, is a San Francisco mayor has basically signed a bill establishing a reparations fund, but at the same time acknowledges the fact that even though he signed it, they have no money for it. These people, oh my God, they're so dumb. The mayor of San Francisco, this in town hall, the mayor of San Francisco quietly signed a bill that establishes a reparations fund that could grant every eligible black resident up to $5 million in reparations for historic discrimination and displacement. Keep in mind, California entered the Union as a free state back in 1850, which was after the slaves were freed, for those not following history. But anyway, the fund itself, by the way, does not guarantee payments, nor does it actually allocate funds directly, but it establishes the quote-unquote legal framework for reparations. Now, it's supposedly supported, or can be supported, through private donations from individuals, foundations, and other non-city entities, but no taxpayer money is actually going to be allocated to the fund. So let's see. California didn't have slaves. No taxpayer funds are going to this thing, and it doesn't actually guarantee any kind of a payout. Okay. How stupid. Oh my gosh. Well, how dumb can that be? Oh, and a win for you Second Amendment enthusiasts. A win in the court system. A win in the court system. Federal judge rules that California's open carry ban is actually unconstitutional. Yeah, it's about damn time somebody does something. So anyway, a federal appeals court struck down California's ban on openly carrying firearms in heavily populated areas on Friday. That was yesterday, by the way. Dealing with a major blow to the state's gun control laws. The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, which is the most overruled or overturned appeals court, although he got this one right, ruled 2-1 that California's prohibition on open carry permits in counties with populations exceeding 200,000 is unconstitutional, according to the court opinion. The ban covers areas where roughly 95% of the state's residents actually live. Judge Lawrence Van Dyke wrote in the majority opinion that the restriction fails under the Supreme Court's 2022 ruling in the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus Bruin, which requires gun laws to align with the nation's historical tradition of firearm regulation. Van Dyke wrote, under Bruin, this is a straightforward case. California is attempting to address a general societal problem through materially different means than were used during either the foundation or Reconstruction. The court found no historical precedent for banning open carry. Van Dyke noted that open carry remained legal in California from its statehood in 1850 until the Mulford Act of 1967, and yet the urban ban only took effect in 2012. Yeah. So there you go. So, yeah. All right. Anyway, it's about damn time that somebody actually woke up and smelled the coffee and actually read the United States Constitution and the Second Amendment in particular. You know, there are still people who actually believe that the 10 amendments, the basic Bill of Rights, the first 10, were ratified at the same time that the Constitution was written and ratified. And they don't even understand that there was like 2 years in between them. They also don't understand that James Madison actually was against the 10 amendments at first, thinking that there was no reason to have the Bill of Rights, that the Constitution was already written as clear as it could possibly be. Well, if that's the case, I don't understand why we're still in this problem. Oh, yes, I do understand. It's because of the idiots that are all over. All right. Well, we made it through without having too many technical difficulties. I got to go dig in what this audio card issue actually is. So do me a favor, if you haven't already, head on over to rumble.com, get yourself an account. It is free. And once you are signed up and signed in, make sure that you hit or search up the American Perspective channel and hit that green follow button to get notified every time I go live. Also, too, don't forget to hit those thumbs up, thumbs downs, or, of course, if you're 3 Chevy, thumb sideways across all of my platforms, whether it's X, YouTube, Facebook, or, of course, the aforementioned Rumble. We will see you on Monday, hopefully with everything working properly. On Monday, right here on American Perspective. Have a great rest of your evening and a great rest of your weekend. And I thank you all for being my guinea pigs on the difficulties. I do appreciate it. We will see you on Monday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on American Perspective. Have a great rest of your evening, and good night, everybody.